true. Were you the last guys to see Brian Pillman alive?
Yes.
We put him to bed.
We put him to bed.
Yeah.
Me, Animal, and Tex.
Yeah. Did you know he was fucked up? Or
Well, of course, he'd been fucked up. Well, I mean, he at that point he was walking around with the morphine pack strapped to his arm with an IV, and one of my favorite, maybe my favorite singles match I ever had was against him in WCW in like '92, and then to see him, he was just. We've seen. I left Puerto Rico thinking I would never see Chris Candido again, and then he cleans up, turns his life around, breaks his ankle, gets on a plane, blood clot, dies. One of my best friends.
Is that what actually killed him? Was it the blood clot that did it?
Understanding, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the whole premise of Pillman obviously died of a heart attack, but this was a drug-related heart attack, right?
Yeah.
Such a shame.
Yeah, great guy.
What is it about this business? You guys are his friends. You put him to bed. He's all fucked up. What is it about this business that this happens to these guys, and how come there's never? It seems like all those years ago there was never any intervention.
Back then it was.
I mean, you could try to talk to him as a friend, but I mean,
no, it got to a point. We had certain things where, like, Taker would like pull somebody and say, "Hey, you're fucking up. You need to get it under control." And I would say, "Yes, sir," and then I would go off and do whatever I wanted.
Okay.
But no, it was like Taker got in trouble on Joe Rogan for saying how like when I started, the guys had knives in their back. I was 19 years old in Tampa, Florida, and in that locker room was Blackjack Mulligan, Dusty Rhodes, the Nasty Boys, I literally didn't know I wasn't supposed to get my ass beat in a match for like a year. Nasty Boys were just brutal on me. But I thought that's what it was, and I wanted to be it, so I just stuck it out, and then we got to WCW, and then they came up there, and we were kind of over
Things were
WCW, and I said to him, these motherfuckers beat my ass for a year. I said, time to turn it on them. So we laid it in, and
nice.
We were much bigger than them.
So, who comes up with the name the Godwins? Where did that come from?
Did they give that to you when you got there? Or?
Yeah. When we got let go from WCW, went up there, met Vince and J.J. Dillon in the little kayfabe office there.
JJ was awake. He wasn't taking a nap.
He dozed off a couple of times.
We had him on a show one time, and I was like, "Is this guy awake?" But go on. Okay,
so I met with them, and Vince, we talked for 2 or 3 hours. Vince said, "Well, what'd you do?" And I told him, I used to work on a psych floor at the hospital and farmed.
You're
and
lucky that gimmick didn't take off.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wait a minute,
2
Norman.
wackos.
Yeah, Norman.
But and I mentioned the farm, and he says, "Well, because he's a ridge runner,
he's a moonshiner,
Carolinas, right?" Yeah. So he said, "Well, what'd you do?" I told him, raised hogs, got cows, chickens, got it all. And he said, "Well, what do you do with the hogs?" I said, "Well, we, just feed them, slop them. We have to castrate them." And so when I said the slopping, he putting everything together, and he goes,
Genius.
I like that. So he wanted my initials to be HOG.
Okay.
So
I just got that.
Did you?
He's just getting the gimmick. That's so
Wait a minute.
See, there was a reason you came to Monty and the Pharaoh today.
Pig.
Okay.
But he said, "Let's go with
Hey, wait a minute, I'm just getting it. Go ahead. Well, okay, so he's got hog for you, Henry.
So he said Henry, and he gave me his family's name, Orpheus, for my middle initial.
Okay.
And so that was it. It took off. And then when he came up,
I went to Japan for FMW and went to Memphis with Road Dogg. And then Jerry Lawler pulled me in at a Memphis TV and said, "You're going to, I think it was Stockton, California, to be a partner, to get back together with your partner." Well, cool. So I go to the Royal Rumble, and the very first thing I see is Viscera dropped on him and hurt him. And I walk in the locker room, and Undertaker is just ripping him apart. Because he broke Taker's orbital socket. He hurt Kevin Nash's back. He just hurt him. I'm like, oh, my fucking
Taker's wrapping his hands up.
That's his thing. Whenever he wants people to think him serious, like with the Stone
Right.
Cold and
Yeah,
Shawn.
yeah.
taping the fist up, taping the fist.
And what is he doing? What is Viscera
It's
doing?
showing you that I'm getting ready to punch
No,
you.
what is Viscera doing, right?
Nothing.
Oh.
He's just like, I'm
Scared-
sorry.
scared
No.
shitless. Yeah.
Nobody
Really?
said-
And they let him go the next
Yeah,
week.
Yeah, and then he was my partner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you worked with
he-
Viscera a lot, yeah.
He got a lot of chances. I love Nelson. I mean, he was my partner for like 8 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a giant human
He's a
being.
big dude,
you know?
yeah.
But he was a little reckless sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, when Taker, we were doing the ministry, and Taker was like, we're going to bring Viscera in. I'm like, what? Why? He goes, then we don't have to work with him. I was like,
Smart.
fucking genius,
Brilliant.
man.
Brilliant.